Let's talk. So, something on my mind that I want to share with the world because I think that many people may find themselves in similar positions and I think it's worthy of a discussion. So, for me and for those out there, what may feel and seem like a curse or something not really worthy of a divine path or these traits that we find within ourselves of just they're deeply rooted within us. We can't escape them if we try to. So for me, what I feel that sometimes feels like a curse because the path I'm on is this business aspect of myself. As a female and as someone who has worked in corporate America for over 12, 15 years, there is a blessing to aspects that we may assume as curses, and they're not. This is of course just a play on words, but I trust that you know what I'm referring to. For me as a female and as someone who has just long been in the whole gamut of what we know as corporate America, I have lived life of priding myself on all the intelligence, all of the dominance as a female that I have just understood naturally and have just naturally persevered based on just innate trait, innate desire. Some aspect of me never even, some aspect within me, I don't feel really chose to be a business person. And I almost feel like I just became it without even choosing. And it may not make sense to people who have always longed to be a role, a character, or for those who've always desired to be a position in life. For me, this is my experience. I didn't know for the longest time what I would do. And not because I did not know what I was good at. I always knew what I was good at, but I could not actually translate that at that age and time into something I saw available in society that resonated within me deeply in my soul. So, awkwardly enough, to my demise or to my advantage, I decided to go into a career of business. And I remember at one place in time, I chose business because it would open more doors for me along the way, along this journey, that would give me the latitude, the flexibility to choose how and what I would become. And it wouldn't box me into just, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a secretary, or I'm going to be, a pastor, or I'm going to be, a teacher. Whatever it may be for you that you had chose, for me, I knew I didn't want to be confined, and I chose a field. I chose an area to study that would give me just options. And at that point, I had no idea where it would lead me toward and what would happen and how my whole path would unfold. But I knew for sure that I had options, that I had a place, a space to decide and figure out in the area in the study of business in what direction I would go. Now, those who know business degrees, you're familiar with the very basic level of lower level business. You can of course go into marketing or general business, a lot of lower level, but I had chose to go above the level, and I chose finance and accounting, which was much, much more time consuming and difficult. And of course, it took more work of study to persevere in such a field. And I was happy and very content with choosing the finance and the accounting aspect because I felt, for whether it was level of ego or just, I don't know, I chose it because I felt that it would be more well recognized, I would have more doors open, and it would be more credible. It took much more work and higher levels of classes of math and finance, just so much more than the average general bachelor's degree or average study of field. These type of, studies took an intense level of understanding and just intuitive knowing and applying process and concepts. And so my point is that all these unknown pieces at that time led me on a trail, on this path that I would have never known was even a real path. But I continuously followed and pressed forward. I had to do a lot of overcoming adversity and facing so much challenge, hardships, and a lot of unfairness. But I knew that I was worthy, that I deserved everything, and I deserved it on an equal scale of anyone else in that field, in that role. And I worked tirelessly hard. I sacrificed more than I probably ever should have at a certain age. And I don't regret my life at all. I don't. I learned a lot of lessons. And so here we are on our own path. All of us have our own journey, and it doesn't have to be like mine, but I know that by my sharing of story, you can kind of find your own story of how you continue to follow this unknown path and you found yourself in a current predicament like I did. And I was baffled when I found a peak point, a moment of truth, of just complete awareness that all I had worked for, all I had struggled and sweated for and put all of my complete energy into was something that I would no longer be part of. And that is very scary and intimately personal. But I think it's very important I share this story because we can all relate to going so far in life on this one path, on this one trajectory. Did I say that correctly? This one trajectory? Okay. And we're pushing forward. We're all chucking through. We think we know the whole world. We think we got it all figured out and we are on top. Now, I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but those who are on that wavelength at that point in time in life can relate to, yes, we're on top. We are we are manifesting. We've got everything in our hands. Everything is flowing in our court. Everything that could go right is going right. And we work for it. So we see the result of pushing and forcing and driving. We see all that effort of physical force being a result of all the effort that we are pushing forward and driving toward. Of course, anybody who has a goal or who sees a place they want to achieve or the next milestone, the next benchmark, whether it's your health journey, whether it's your family life, relationship goal, or work and career ambitions, we all can relate to seeing it and continuously getting to that next tier. And what drives each and every one of us may be different. So it's not about finding the differences between us all. It's finding the commonality. It's finding the common ground that we all can relate to, that driving force, propelling us forward, that we all have individual relationship to. We all know that. We are driven by this innation. It's within us. Yes. And so here we are. we find ourselves at these peak moments, these pinnacle peaks where we are having everything that we have worked for. We are experiencing things that we probably 10 years ago could not even have dreamt of. And yet we feel hollow and empty inside, unfulfilled. And we don't understand why we have these internal dissonances with the reality and with where we are emotionally inside. And so for a while in my life, I just dismissed those aspects because I thought that how could I think like that, because I know exactly what I worked for and how much it took me to achieve such results, such experience. And I almost felt, how could I dare question unfulfillment, unhappiness, or even anything that's below unacceptance. In my mind, I had a very polar opposing force between the success, the financial success and abundance, the legit accomplishment, achievement, title, status, prestige, money, everything. And internally I felt, is this what it's about? Because I've known for a long time I have a purpose, but I believed I was on the right path. And was this the right path? At that point, I didn't have all the answers, and I didn't want to have them, but I did know that there was something that would be revealed. Of course, like any person, you don't just back out of your experience. You have to just play the cards. That's what we're all supposed to do in our own journey, is play the cards, play the hand that you were dealt, and make it the best, and just watch it unfold, but also take action and take the necessary steps required for your specific journey, because we all have different journeys, we all have different experiences, and no two are alike. So remember that. Yes, so this message is to help encourage anybody out there that feels that their traits, that their abilities are incongruent or not incongruent with a deeper piece of them. Me, like myself, I struggled with for a while accepting and understanding how my natural business element that was so inborn and innate within me, how can this aspect play a role in this divine plan that I have now, ascended into, with higher levels of consciousness, with higher levels of awareness, with stepping out of the matrix and choosing a whole new world, a whole new path. How can these pieces possibly play still such an integral role? And to be honest, because I think that it's very important to be transparent, at least for me, I did fight it. I did attempt to fight this business piece of me, not because I did not believe in that aspect of me, but I thought that it would not be worthy. It would not play correctly on this newer path, this higher path of ascension that I was on. And I had to come to terms, and it was a big struggle for me. It really was. And thankfully I've accepted it, but it was such a big struggle for me to accept that this is not a blessing. These innate aspects that we all have, and they're all different, they are playing a very important role in how we help. So depending on where you find your own self on this journey, on this process, right? We all have our own truth. We all have our own path. And that is the beauty. That is the amazing aspect of life, that we all have a fingerprint that is only for you. It's only for you. And it's destined before you got here. All the pieces of your life, all the little intricacies, all the little quirks and habits you have, your natural triggers, your natural desires, those are yours for a reason. The interests you have, they play a very vital role. They do. So, without trying to go too far deep into how we got here, who we chose to be before we incarnated, I'm trying hard not to go into the back end, the depths of it, which, if you're interested, definitely watch my other videos. But I want to really keep this important here for this video, because we all come across moments in our life where we find ourselves in this moment, this state of being, and we're like, how did we get here? How long has gone by? And where are we going? And oftentimes, most of us, we don't ask the real right questions. We accept whatever our subconscious soothes us. Whatever our subconscious soothes us with, because the subconscious, if not properly trained and programmed, okay, if you don't properly have a good grip on your own subconscious, it will program to the ugliness of whatever you've last experienced and encountered. And again, this video is not for that, because I do talk a lot about those pieces in other videos, but I'm trying to really focus upon the realness, because we do find ourselves in these moments and we're like, wait a minute. I'm in control of my life. Whether it's successful or not, it can be beautiful, harmonious. So we all have these pieces to ourselves that are ingrained within us, and it's easy to want to dismiss them because we can't figure out how they could possibly fit this bigger piece of ourselves. But I urge us all to, rather than just quickly dismiss them because we don't think they fit the mold of a higher level of consciousness, I urge people out there to really see these quote-unquote curses as divine pieces, and they all help us transcend who we are, and they transcend humanity, and they play an integral role in how we actually develop and evolve as an individual conscious, as an individual soul. And only we were born with such an experience, and it is for us to explore these pieces of ourselves. We owe it to ourselves, because if you have these traits, these personality characteristics, or these talents, these abilities, they are not meant to go to the wayside. They are purposely given to you. So to dismiss them is not honoring your soul. So I had to correct myself and understand deeply at a higher level that just because I was born and innately, cultivated with this depth of business that doesn't fit what I would imagine initially as higher consciousness, as divine path, I had to learn to accept that this is a piece of me that I am meant to actually learn to properly position for humanity, for the higher consciousness, for the good of all. And yeah, that can be something that can feel uncomfortable, because we naturally as human beings have this cognitive dissonance, because as we associate things in life where we grow up and we learn what society teaches us, we embrace, definitions and understandings that we never gave ourselves. And so when we remove ourselves from the matrix, it's natural for us to want to say, well, this is bad, this is not good, and we want to almost disassociate so far away and find new experiences. But what I've learned from my own journey is that, wait a minute, this is a part of me that was given as a blessing, as an experience, as a beauty, as something infinite. So I have learned to embrace, and more than embrace, I have learned to truly encapsulate myself in all of who I am, all of that I have been, and all that I will be. The more of me that I get to know, but I have a deeper appreciation of all the pieces within me that have led me this far. And I know that I am on a very important mission, and it might not be something that people can understand, and that's okay with me. I've learned to appreciate and respect my personal journey. So I hope those of you out there who find yourself resonating at this level, if you know you have traits that you may have found at one point as a curse, I hope that you consider how they are so important to your path, and to see them differently with new light. I hope that you can find the beauty and embrace these pieces, because they are a part of you. They will never leave. If they are that deeply within you, trust me, they aren't going anywhere. And so you're better off just learning to see how you work the magic with who you are. We all have different pieces, and we all need to learn how to leverage, be with all these aspects of ourselves. So as a female, and as somebody that is so business oriented, yes, it cannot come across as feminine. It just doesn't sometimes come across as a feminine trait, as a feminine quality, to be so business oriented naturally. And I've embraced that for many, many, many years. This is nothing new for me. But what is new for me is to accept that I will embrace this business piece of me in a spiritual manner, and that is meant for me to do. Whereas before, I saw that they were separate. I've had to realize through my own self-discovery path how business is spiritual for me. Thank you for listening through this entire experience. I hope that by me sharing this intimate and personal revelation about embracing business as something as part of my personal, divine, and life mission, I hope that those out there listening have found something to resonate with and relate that to their life, to their traits, to something that you've always found as something disheartening. And maybe you've never found it disheartening, but maybe it's something that doesn't resonate with a spiritual journey, a divine path. But trust that these are given to you for a very special reason. So it's up to you. It's up to each and every one of us to be on that journey of self-discovery and truly tune in to all these aspects that we all have. We may have traits and skills and talents that we've placed by the wayside because we had to conform to society and to keep up and to survive. But we as a society, as a culture, as a humanity, we've already ascended beyond survival. And I'm referring to those who understand that level of consciousness. Once we understand it's beyond survival, it's up to us to take responsibility and truly harness, truly encapsulate ourselves. We are here, divinely purposed. It's up to us to transcend humanity.